Hello and welcome to another Official Watches YouTube video. Here at Jardin du Mayfair, heaven on earth for the watch enthusiast, I have a beautiful watch to show you today. But first, my tech team tell me up to 76% of you guys that view these videos are not subscribed. Please do hit that subscribe button and I can keep these videos coming fresh and hot every week. It would be a huge favour to me. Thank you so much. Okay, so today I have the Rolex Chronograph Daytona. Looks pretty normal from over there, but in fact it's very special. It's the Zenith movement Daytona, the 16520. One of the few examples where in-house movements are not the main attraction. This is a quick tour around the first automatic Daytona ever produced by Rolex. Until the release of the 16520, the Daytona was a manually wound 37mm chronograph powered by a Valjoux movement. Now at the time, the 4-digit Daytona was not a popular beast and suffered from low sales and public disinterest. Partially because it was primitive compared to its peers. Essentially, it was a 25-year exercise in failure by the Crown. That changed on a dime in 1988 when I was born, and Rolex completely redesigned the Daytona and launched the 16520, which featured a 40mm case, crown guards, a sapphire crystal and an automatic movement. Note to self, I should really look for a birth year one, shouldn't I? This evolution was effectively the blue touch paper that launched the Daytona into the stratosphere as one of the world's most sought after watches. Now back then, Swiss brands used to work and play together nicely. The Zenith El Primero, Spanish for the first, was the first automatic chronograph movement and had been designed and launched in 1969. Now it was axed during the 70s amidst the quartz crisis upheaval, but was and is still considered to be a legendary movement. So when Zenith restarted production of the El Primero in the late 70s, Ebel purchased their entire stock of the caliber and pumped a ton of cash in Zenith's direction. This helped the company recover and enjoy its success. It was this cash injection that allowed Zenith to answer when Rolex called. Rolex teamed up with Zenith in 1986 and had spent 2 years fetting and adapting the famous El Primero movement, until it was fit for the new king of chronographs. The date function had been removed, there was a new escapement and balance wheel, and the frequency had been dropped from 36,000 VPH to 28,800 VPH. Now with all of the customization, only around 50% of the original El Primero movement remained, so it's not like this was a simple exercise in a pre-existing movement dropping into the new case. There was some real sweat involved. Once Rolex had finished the modifications to their satisfaction and had the movement COSC certified, they badged it as caliber 4030, and the Daytona Zenith was ready to meet the public. The Zenith Daytona was in production for 12 years, from 1988 to 2000, late R serial to early P serial range. Then Rolex updated the line with their in-house chronograph movement. That was the caliber 4130. They only have 5-digit reference numbers with that model. Much like the current models, there were 2 dial options for the steel models, black or white. Okay, so before we keep going, let's get her off and have a little look. So, what's the first thing you notice? Well, probably that the clasp isn't the same as on the 16520. But at the same time, it's very charming and old school Rolex, and I like that a lot about this piece. Another thing is, if you watch the channel, you probably know that black dial watches don't usually drive me nuts. However, in this case, I have to say there's something very special about the Zenith Daytona, and it comes in the form of its subdials. I've also noticed just this second, I've not pre-arranged this, but just this second I've noticed that the dial is actually slightly more matte than I'm used to when looking at black Daytonas, so I wonder if that is also part of the Zenith charm. But the subdials for me are what take the cake on this watch, so we'll show you those nice up and close and you can let me know in the comments what you think. But there's no doubt about it, you put this in your hand and you realise you are not looking at a run-of-the-mill black dial Daytona. Without further fuss, we'll go for a poke around both the Zenith Daytona in black and its successor, the 116520 in white, and then show you the subtle differences between them. Now, the first thing to note when viewing them side by side is how visually similar they are. Rolex were onto a winner with the 40mm case design, so they didn't particularly tamper with the shape, though they did remove the brushed lugs in favour of a fully polished case when the Daytona updated from the 5 to 6 digit reference. The quickest and easiest way to spot the Zenith, apart from the lugs, is by checking the configuration and placement of the subdials and the length of the indexes. The Zenith Daytona has its small seconds counter on the left at 9. In subsequent references, including the ceramics, the small seconds are placed at the bottom of the dial by 6. This configuration is the immediate giveaway when playing Spot the Difference. The indexes are also different on the Zenith. They are longer and slimmer, whereas the 116500 have been shortened and widened, and subsequently hold more lumen over for enhanced legibility in low light. Another quick tell is the bracelet. The Zenith Daytona has a hollow link bracelet with a stamped clasp that echoes the bracelet oyster link design in the same vein as the Submariners and GMTs of the 5-digit era. The 116520 Daytona benefits from a bracelet upgrade in the form of a solid link oyster with a redesigned milled clasp and an easy link extension. The Zenith Daytona has an enduring popularity with collectors and subsequently achieves much higher prices because it's widely considered to be the watch that turned the fortunes of the Daytona from the weirdo that nobody wanted to be associated with to an icon of waiting lists around the block. Some black-dialed Zenith Daytonas have what's known as a Patrese dial, which was named by the fella who worked it all out. The Patrese effect is the result of Zapon, which is a varnish being used on the dials between 1994 and 1995. This particular lacquer didn't provide enough protection to the dial, and as time passed, the silver subdial rings began to turn brown as a result of UV exposure. As we know with Rolex, dial errors regularly up the price of various watches, and Patrese dials are no exception. Their ability to hugely inflate the price of a Daytona Zenith is crazy. But then again, aren't we all? Because we love these things so much, and everyone is always looking for a really unique piece, especially the vintage collectors. So this brings me to our rather neatly white-dialed 116520, which was really only drafted to play Spot the Zenith differences. But it does, however, have a very interesting little dial quirk of its own. This particular model is known as the APH dial Daytona. If you zoom in and look closely, this is due to a print error of a small space between the chronograph, the APH part of the word, and in its text there's a space and then it says APH. It's an interesting quirk and proof that some humanity and capacity for error lurks behind the crown. I have even heard people on forums saying that they may have done it on purpose for a while. There's all sorts of conspiracy theories out there with the APH, and I think that it just makes it more fun. Now, I suppose that given this is a partial comparison review, it would be polite to at least do which is best. But the short answer here is neither, because they both offer very tasty slices of the same sandwich, but with different ingredients. The top pick of the pair absolutely depends on you and what you as an individual wearer are looking for. That said, how about we do a little bit of Ross and Rachel and end with a personal opinion of pros and cons list, and then you guys can let me know what you'd go for in the comments. So I'm going to start straight out the gate. Zenith Daytona Pros. It was the OG model that made the Daytona vintage appeal. It has an El Primero movement. It has brushed lugs, tritium hands, and indexes. It also has Patrese potential if you get the necessary model and year, more prized by collectors. The cons for some people may be the hollow link bracelet and stamped clasp. Now, Daytona 116520, the pros. It has the Rolex Cal 4130, which is my favourite chrono movement of all time. It has a 70-hour power reserve, a solid bracelet, the Easy Link extension, which is a pretty big one, and it's less expensive than a Zenith, and excellent examples are available, such as this one. Cons on the 116520 would be polished lugs. Some people don't like those. Super luminova or chromolite instead of the favoured tritium, which all the collectors are looking for. Now, which one would I go for? I've probably shocked myself here today, I'll be honest, because I prefer white dials nearly every single time. But when I've put these two together, I do feel, as a watch enthusiast, I may regret not taking the Zenith, because it might be a lot harder to get another Zenith that looks like this. And this has got the colouring that I am really, really obsessed with on the subdials. So I'm going the other way against myself today, and I think I'd go for the Zenith. But I really, really want to see what you guys choose in the comments. Guys, thank you so much for joining me here at Jardin du Mayfair for another video. I hope you have enjoyed it very much. Daytonas, we've covered nearly all of them. I'm looking forward to getting some of the new releases in here for you. These two are the OGs, okay? And I really can't wait to see what you choose in the comments. Please do hit that subscribe button, and I'll keep these videos coming fresh and hot every week.